Everyone, I'm Hitch from Semperis. So I was on my way down the train and I thought, we're going to Waterloo. No, we're not. We're going to Trafalgar Square. You see, you didn't even pick up on that. Going to Trafalgar Square. What's Trafalgar Square famous for? Correct. No. It's a celebration of the Napoleonic naval victory in 1805. So I thought, see if I could put something in here that I could represent to do with Active Directory, right? So I'm going to talk about Active Directory, backup and recovery. And I like to think of it as a pirate. So why do pirates wear an eye patch? Correct, that guy there. They wear them for visibility. Okay, so the idea is that you keep one eye dark, so when you go underneath the ship where there's no lights, you've got, flip it up and it's already accustomed to the light, the low light, right? So the idea is he can go in there and he's not going to get jumped on by anything, he's not going to be surprised, he's going to get to see everything, and so on. So he's the master of that, so he gets to see everything. Visibility in your environment. We have systems that do that. Also mentioned before was behavioral analysis. That's exactly what the captain does as well. He monitors his crew and says, are you likely to do a mutiny and take over my ship? Right? He's the protector. And then you've got the gatekeeper, the keeper of the keys, the person who locks the doors, the person who says, you can't go into the gunpowder room, okay? And if you do, there are provisions and ways you do that, i.e. don't take a naked flame in there, okay? Active Directory, gatekeeper. The problem with Active Directory is, like the gatekeeper, it's basically him going and putting a picture of the key he uses at every door he's been in. Okay? So they goes, oh, it's that key, goes gets the key. But he's also that kind of friend that you have that as soon as you talk to him will tell you his life story. I'm sure we've all got one of those, gives you far too much information, and it says, yep, I will talk to you about anything you want to know in my private life. So Active Directory is your identity, is that gatekeeper. And it is the new attack point because everything goes to AD. Okay? You have to go to the gatekeeper first. Whether it's zero trust, whether it's all your other systems, it doesn't matter what they are. Generally, they will come there and say, give me access through credentials, through system accounts, and so on. Okay? And we've already talked about some of the attack vectors for threat actors going through third-party accounts. LastPass was mentioned. I love that one. Security company got hacked twice within 4 months through the same method. Brilliant. Way to learn. The only thing we learn from history is we don't learn, right? So when we've got an Active Directory that's so powerful that it's absolutely the gatekeeper, we put protections in place and we put endpoint protection in place. Brilliant, well done. Doesn't stop it, to be honest. If it stopped it, if it worked, it helps. If it worked, no one will get hacked, okay? But we do. We get hacked all the time, there's ransomware all the time. So they're getting through those systems. Because no one system will ever be fallible. You've got to have multiple layers. That's just part of life. And they use lots of different attack methods. I'm not going to go into this slide particularly, because hopefully you all recognize it. Okay? It's the kill chain. So this is a 4-point kill chain. It goes all the way up to a 7-point kill chain. It's absolutely brilliant. Someone else over here mentioned something as, hacking as a service, basically. Hacking as a service uses the kill chain. In fact, some of the hackers that use this have documented the whole kill chain and how they do it. Isn't that great? You can actually go on the websites and have a look and they'll tell you how they do it. And that's exactly the same thing that we need to stop. It's great because we can look at it and go, how do we stop it? But they're showing how ruthless and how quick they get through the systems. A lot of discussion on AI, love it. Speak to me afterwards about AI, it's brilliant. It's, as I think someone over here mentioned, it has the intelligence of an ant's nervous system. At the moment, it's in machine learning mode. Ants do exactly the same thing. But as we go through here, the important ones are C2 systems, connection, command and control. Okay? Those are the important things to know about in your environment because those are the things that are going to kill you. As I say, we're not going to go through all those, but reconnaissance and staying around in your environment. How long on average does a hacker stay in your environment before they activate? Anyone know? This guy again, great, 56 days. So there are different things from different people. He's on his phone not listening to me. I'm going to pick on him all the time. So
making notes.
Watch my webinars, you'll be even better. So there are different things you'll get, 360 odd days and so on, but on average it's about 56 days before they activate the command and control. Okay? And hacking as a service has recently taken on some new technologies. And they're AI-based technologies, of course. In fact, actually, hackers have been using AI for about 2.5 years. We've seen it in there for 2.5 years. They don't go in and start doing keyboard stuff. Nobody does that anymore. It's old-fashioned to look at it that way. No one's sitting in their garage hacking away. Oh, the Pentagon. Oh, I'll just see if they've got back door. You know, that sort of thing doesn't matter. Anyway, Bumblebee is one of the latest loaders. They ran some tests recently in Secure Labs, and it took 19 hours from activating the Bumblebee loader to it actually getting full-blown first-class access to Active Directory. And that's because Active Directory was designed in an era when ransomware wasn't an issue. And it also hasn't been updated since 2016. Okay? But it ain't going anywhere. Yes?
What do you mean it hasn't been updated?
The last major update to Active Directory by Microsoft was in 2016. They want everyone to move on to Azure because Azure is going to solve all your problems, right? It's in the cloud. Okay. Just on that, someone said to me, how are they going to protect themselves from all these attacks? I said, great, Azure Active Directory. They're just going to change the name, and they are doing. So when you do a Google search for compromises of Azure Active Directory, you won't find anything. Okay, so 19 hours. Access within 19 hours. They use AI to do this. So, but that's okay, because you've all got backups. I'm sure you're all sat there going, yep, I have, we know everything relies on it. I've got backups. I take them daily, and it's fully documented. I'm going to pick on you again. If you had to restore Active Directory, can anyone do it in your organization? No, of course they can't. So I'm not going to make you answer these questions, by the way. No, of course they can't. No one's got it documented that well that it happens. Every engineer that I've ever spoken to who's gone through a ransomware attack and has to do a full Active Directory forest recovery, their typical answer is, when it happens next time, they will walk. They will hand their notice in. They're not taking that stress. They just don't want to do it, okay? But if you do have backups, I'm sure you'll think to yourself, yeah, we've got it, we use it for our test environments, we recover all the time into sandbox environments, we use that for testing all sorts of stuff and scenarios, that's great. We take backups daily, well done. What else? We track everything in AD, because backups aren't just about backing up AD, it's about all the little minor changes in there. Someone mentioned before malicious compliance, but also people who make mistakes, scripts and so on that make mistakes in your environment. And we snapshot every hour. My goodness, you could not get a better backup scenario than that. And if you're all sat there thinking, we do all those things, well done. Except, if you do snapshot Active Directory, stop it. Because if you ever have to recover that, Microsoft will not touch your AD with a barge pole. Okay? And that's the same with any non-specific AD backup software. If you recover, Microsoft will know. They have flags in it that sets things up and say, this has been snapshotted, this has been recovered. And when they see it, their support teams walk away. Okay, so the other problem with backups is, chances are their ransomware's in it. Okay, if you're backing up your operating system at all, you're backing up your ransomware. I said they stay in your environment for 56 days running command and control. They don't want you to know they're there, so you're backing them up. Your antivirus software isn't picking that up, because if it did, you'd know about it and they wouldn't be there. Okay? So all your protection systems have gone. You're now backing up all that. And this is the reason they hang around for 56 odd days. Does anyone know what's special about, let's go for 30 days in Active Directory? That guy again, well done, you're answering all the questions. Tombstone lifing. You can't recover from all backups. Anything that's too far away, tombstones, and also there's other things around the number of changes. Remember I said you're monitoring all the changes in Active Directory? Every change that was made in Active Directory from that backup to today, do you know what they all are? He does. So,
no pressure.
So you've backed up. So you've got a recovery to do, right? You've been ransomwared. How far back do you go? When did they hit your environment? When did they first get in? When did they start making changes? What did they do? How far back does your backup have to go? If you even can do that far back. So, what does a real recovery look like? A real recovery is malware-free. If you cannot do a malware-free recovery, forget it. You're going to pay the ransom, which has legalities in itself. You're not allowed to pay, I know we're not supposed to talk about certain things, but you're not going to pay countries that are embargoed, for example, because that's illegal, and then your CISO goes to prison instead. Okay? Don't use, if you ever do pay a ransom, do not use crypto wallets that are personal or to do with the company. They can gather information from those and change the ransom based on what you have done in your history. All sorts of things like that. But anyway, you're going to do a recovery. It's malware free, that's the first thing, so nothing from the OS comes back. That's the first thing. The second thing is, do you want to be operational or do you want to fix it? Because there's different scenarios. You cannot take your business down necessarily because of the cost of that or the impact of service level agreements that you have with other organizations and so on. The costs can be immense. There's an old one, Maersk, I'm sure we've all heard of that one, that was quite a while ago. 386 million in costs for them alone, never mind the service level agreements to all the shipping companies and so on. So you've got to bring it back malware free, guaranteed, and you can't scan for your malware because your scanners don't work against it, we've already established that. And then you've also got to say, do you actually know how to do that? I know we can put all this down in paper and say this is how you do a recovery and so on, but this is going to happen on Christmas Eve, right? They're not going to wait around. Someone else mentioned the time when they do this is timed very well. The post office in the UK, does everyone know there were actually 3 different attempts beforehand? They actually hacked the post office, different subsystems, 3 times, and they accomplished it twice. And they did the final attack when half the people were on strike. And it was a public holiday. And it was their busiest time of the year. We talked, someone over there mentioned about using denial of service by getting the people doing other things. They are intelligent people. They know what they're doing. So you've got to look at the cost of the business. Can you get your business back? Or do you have to go and say, well, we're going to get this working and so on. And you need experts to do that. If you don't have AD experts, call someone who does. And when I say someone who does, I'm not necessarily talking about Microsoft. Microsoft are not in the game of ransomware protection or recovery. They're in the game of selling you software, okay? Or services. Same things with lots of other companies. Find a company, right, that we do this day in, day out, okay? Okay, so the other thing I talked about was forensics. You have to know the forensics of these environments. You need to be able to go back and say, yes, I've been hit. When was I hit? How was I hit? What did they do? And I need to know everything. Because the first thing they're going to do when they come in is switch off your SIEM, and they're going to switch off all your logging of Active Directory. Wouldn't it be great if there was a technology that could still monitor it, though? Okay, so talked about backing up. I've got one more slide after this for whoever's keeping time. Typical backups are here. System state backups. You're backing up your operating system. Don't do it for Active Directory because you're backing up your malware. Semperis Active Directory recovery strips out Active Directory from the operating system. That means there's no malware in there at all. I mean, technically, are we all technical in here? He is. So, technical side of it, you can actually put malware in the sysvol, but we can quarantine that, so that's not a problem. But our backup files, really small compared to everything else. So instead of backing up once a day, back up every hour. Back up every 15 minutes if you want to. It's malware free. We're not backing up the operating system, so we can guarantee you're not going to get malware from that. Think about recovery. I talked to a customer a while ago. They said, yeah, we can do recovery. I said, great. What hardware are you going to recover to? Oh, we haven't got any. Because you have to have an environment to recover into, and it has to be the same hardware. Unless you just stripped out Active Directory for the operating system, in which case it removes the hardware dependency. So you don't need to run it. If it's a Dell system, you don't need to back up to a Dell. You can back up to an Azure template. So you go to Azure, say template, give me an operating system. That's all you need to do. Recover using our technology, and we'll rebuild the whole machine for you. Every service, role, feature, IP address, we'll rebuild everything for you. You don't even need to know the passwords or anything because it's in the backup. And we do it in parallel, which means if you've got 200 domain controllers, we'll recover 200 domain controllers at the same time. So if it takes us an hour to do that, it's an hour. So go from days and weeks to recover to hours, okay? And we also have a technology that can handle that forensics. And I know I'm here to kind of say Semperis, right? But even if you walk away from here and go, I don't care, didn't like the presenter or anything like that, doesn't matter. Just make sure you know how to recover malware free. You know how to do the forensics in your environment and say, I can recover this. And the reason for that is, if you can't and you lose AD, you lose your business. And that's really the key takeaway. It is the keys to the kingdom. Someone else said that before. It's the keys to the kingdom. Lose AD, lose your business. If I got your AD, I own you. Okay? And those defenses on the endpoints, just as a hacker thing, if I was attacking you, I don't even need to be attached to one of your Windows machines. I can fly a drone over to your environment, and I can spoof straight onto your wireless. I don't even need a domain joined machine. I can use a Linux thing on that drone to go straight in and interrogate Active Directory. And I'll get in. I can almost guarantee I'll get in. Okay. If I am on one of your Windows machines, you've got all your protection. Well done. First thing I'm going to do, spin up Linux for Windows subsystems. It puts an isolated wall around it. Your antivirus can't get into it. All your stuff can't see what's going on. I can do whatever I want in that Linux. And I'm just going to talk to your Active Directory and I'm going to start doing things. All those behavioral things that are looking at the user accounts don't see it because I'm not using their account anymore. So all those kinds of things. The analytics are great. You've got to see it. But they will get in. And so that was it. That was my presentation-ish on time. So we have two technologies. If you are interested, talk to one of either myself or one of my colleagues who I can't see. He's run off. Great. Come and see me and I'll sort you out.